So what is a region? Region is a geographical area, right? So let me draw the region. Okay, let's say I have one region. Let me draw US East one region only so that it would be realistic. What is US East region? It is uh, North Virginia region. And inside the region, what do we have? We have availability zones. Yeah. So first we have a region called US East 1, and inside the region we have availability zones. What is a region? A region is a separate geographical area. So inside that, let me draw a few availability zones. So in US East 1, how many availability zones we have? Any idea?
Two. Okay, in the particular region you're talking
Yeah,
about.
in US East 1, how many availability zones we have? We have 6.
It's showing 6 here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me draw 6 availability zones here, 6 AZs. Okay. So what are the names of availability zones? We will add one alphabet to the region, right? So starting with A. So first one would be US East 1A. Or else let me put it here, 1A. And what else we have? Second one would be US East 1B. Third one would be US East 1C. Similarly, we have 1E and 1F. Okay. So these are our six availability zones in the US East 1 region. So what is US East 1 region? It is North Virginia region. So two of the AWS consumers I know is Netflix and Hotstar. Okay. So let's say that both Netflix and Hotstar are using the same North Virginia region. So now they will have that fear that Netflix may have that fear that Hotstar may consume my resources, and similarly, Hotstar may have that fear that Netflix may access their resources because both are into streaming. But Netflix is primarily into movies and all or web series. Hotstar is into sports streaming, right? Okay, so let us represent Netflix with maybe let me represent Netflix with blue color. Sorry, I couldn't pick blue color. Let me pick once again. Or else maybe let me choose pink color for Netflix. And for Hotstar, let me pick green color. Okay. So now what I will do, let's say that Netflix wants to create one VPC for their to create their resources in their virtual private cloud. So for creating resources for Netflix, I will create something called VPC. So can VPC span across multiple availability zones?
Yes.
Yes.
So not
So
to the region.
yeah. So is there any restriction that a VPC can span across only one availability zone, two availability zone, three availability zones? No, it can span across all the availability zones in a in that region, whichever region it is. Maybe it can span across only two availability zones. It can span across five availability zones. It's up to the team how they want to go with. Okay, let's say that
Okay.
this particular Netflix VPC has he's spanning across five availability zones. So let me represent this with pink color. Okay, and we have one more VPC. One more VPC for Hotstar. I'm writing it as Netflix VPC. Yeah. This VPC belongs to Hotstar. Okay. But I told, right, Netflix I am going to represent with pink color and Hotstar I am going to represent with green color. So let me choose green color for this. Yeah. So this is how we are able to isolate the resources from one VPC to the other VPC. But let me give you one more scenario. Let us say that Hotstar has two VPCs. Okay. Now there is a requirement that resources in one VPC must talk to the resources in other VPC. Can we do this?
Yeah.
How we can do? We can achieve using VPC peering. We can achieve using something called VPC peering. Okay. We can achieve using something called VPC peering.
Okay. But you said that previously that these availability zones are also connected to each other, right?
Yeah. See, these availability zones are connected to each other, but if you allow see, the reason we are creating VPC is that we wanted to isolate that, right? So your requirement is to first isolate. So now, but the same customer has created two VPCs. So by default, you can't allow the access between resources from one VPC to resources in other VPC, right? It's not the initial
Yeah.
requirement. But now let's say that they have many resources and they want to split. They wanted to maintain some neat architecture and they wanted to isolate. So for this reason, they wanted to they want some resources in VPC1 to access resources in VPC2. So what we can do is we can establish the connectivity using the VPC peering. Okay. So again, I'm revising quickly. So right now, how many VPCs we have? We have three VPCs. Okay. So first of all, we have a region, US East 1 region, and we inside that we have 6 availability zones. And two customers are using the same region. What are those two customers? Netflix represented in pink color and Hotstar represented in green color. So Netflix is having VPC which is spanning across 5 availability zones, and we have Hotstar VPCs which is one VPC spanning across 5 availability zones, that is from 1B to 1F, and there is one more VPC which is spanning across 4 availability zones from 1A to 1D. So now we have VPCs. So where would we create our resources in the VPC? So can we create resources directly in the VPC? No. So again, we have something called subnet. In a VPC, we will have subnet. So VPC is, I told, right, it's a private cloud. What is VPC? Virtual private cloud. So inside the VPC, we will again have subnets, subnetworks. That is nothing but subnet. So how many subnets I will have here? I can have multiple in each availability zones. In a VPC, I can have multiple subnets. So let's say here I have one subnet. Let's say here I have two subnets.
And if there is no virtual private VPC, then how the resources connect?
If there is no virtual private cloud, how the resources connect?
Yeah.
But we have VPC, right? Without, we can't create a resources without any VPC. Okay, you may be asking how we created one EC2 instance, right?
Yeah.
So by default, we would be, if you don't choose any VPC, by default it would be created in the default VPC.
Also, there will always be a VPC.
Yeah, correct. There would be always an VPC. I mean, there are some. Maybe let me take back my statement. There are some resources which are created outside of the VPC as well, like S3 bucket. So we create S3 in one of the region. We create S3 bucket in one of the region, but they don't belong to any of the VPCs. Okay, so there are almost all the resources should belong to one or the other VPC, but there could be some resources where there is a chance that they may not belong to any VPC. What are those? Those are like S3 buckets and objects. So last time we created one S3 bucket in North Virginia region, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I have created one subnet in US East 1A for Netflix, and one more here, and one more here. So is there any restriction for the number of subnets in availability zone? No, we can have as many as we want. Maybe there could be some limit, but something like maybe there could be some limit like 500, but I'm not very sure. But we don't have the restriction that we can create only one. Maybe there could be some limit like 500. Okay, even on the number of VPCs we can create in account, there is some limit. So how many? So can a single availability zone have multiple subnets? Yes. So
Yeah.
let me say I add two subnets here, and every subnet could be either private or public. Yeah. So every subnet could be either private or public. So what makes a subnet private or public? Okay. So by default, a subnet could be private, but when it would become public, when it has connectivity to the internet. When a subnet has connectivity to the internet, when resources in a subnet can interact with the internet, then it is called public subnet. How we can make a subnet public subnet? We need to have something called internet gateway.
These resources could be instances, right?
EC2 instances. Yeah, maybe for your
Easy.
initial understanding, consider it as EC2 instance.
Yeah.
Okay. So where I will create, I could have one internet gateway for VPC. So what I will do, I will create the VPC. I will create one internet gateway within the VPC. Okay, I will have it somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, so now you may ask, then since we have internet gateway within the VPC, can do all the subnets are by default public subnets? No. Okay, we have internet gateway. That doesn't mean that because having a internet gateway in the VPC doesn't mean that every subnet can connect to the internet gateway. Okay, so how we can decide that a subnet has the connectivity to the internet gateway? Okay, so let me give you one more example. So let's say you are in US and you want to travel to Canada. Okay, so if you want to travel to Canada, first thing is you need to have a route, right? And then apart from having a route, is route alone enough? No, you need to have the corresponding visa, right? So that you can travel to
Yeah.
Canada. So what all things are important to have connectivity from one place to the other place? First thing is we need to have the route. Then we need to have the eligibility or we need to have the access, right? So for a subnet to have to interact with the internet gateway, what it must have? First, it must have a route. Okay, it must have a route to the internet gateway. And what else it should have? Apart from having the route, it should have the access. Okay, so who provides the route to the subnet? Something called we will have something called route table. We have something called route table. So we have something called route table. Let me say, I'm just tell that. We'll talk more about this in the upcoming sessions, but right now you remember that we need to have the route table. Okay, so let's say that this subnet has a route to the internet gateway. Okay, so is that alone enough? No, it should have the corresponding access. So who will control the access to the subnets? There is something called nasal rules. Root table tells about possibility. Nasal tells about whether it's really allowed. Did you understand this, Ruchi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Having a route to Canada, that doesn't mean that you can travel to Canada, right? Apart from having the route, you need to have the required privileges. Who will decide that? Nasal rules. Okay. So for one thing is we need to have the route table. So apart from adding having the connectivity, we need to have the required privileges. So if a subnet is allowed to talk to the internet gateway, then it would be called as public subnet. Okay, there could be a subnet. Maybe it is allowed to it has a route to the internet gateway, but it is not allowed to the communicate to the internet gateway. Then it would be called as private subnet. So it should match both the conditions to be eligible to be a public subnet. Let's say that this VPC they wanted to whatever the resources have it in the VPC1. They wanted the resources to talk to internet. So let's say they have created internet gateway here, and they didn't have internet gateway in the Hotstar VPC2. So by default, all the subnets within the Hotstar VPC2 would become private subnets.
How come?
Because it doesn't have internet gateway only.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see something like maybe let's say that from I told about told about connectivity from US to Canada, right? Let's say you don't have airport, or let's say something like airport, or something like you don't have you don't have any border between US and Canada. So if it is closed, that means that you can't travel outside your country only, right? If there are any no borders, right? So something like that. So if there is no internet gateway, there is no point of talking about uh, whether it is allowed or not, right?
Okay. So internet gateway is basically for connecting to the outside.
Outside world, yeah,
Mhm.
outside world, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so a VPC may or may not have the internet gateway. Whichever is connected to internet gateway, that means that there is a scope that it has a connectivity to the internet. When it doesn't have internet gateway, that means that it cannot connect to the outer side world.
But there will be again security issues if it is able to.
Yeah, but see, let's say that we have Netflix application. Okay, so, but do you think that Netflix? What is the main agenda of the Netflix? Streaming, right? Streaming videos to whom? Streaming videos to internal employees, or is it to the public? It's for public only.
Public.
So it doesn't make any sense to restrict all of their resources, right? Maybe they maybe they want to restrict their database. They don't want anyone to connect directly to their database. But what about their applications? They want their users to directly connect to the application, right? So even though we have internet gateway, that doesn't mean that a security breach is happening, right? The reason is I told it. Even though we have internet gateway, we can decide whether a subnet can be public subnet or private subnet. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I will do, let's say in the Hotstar VPC1, let's say here I have one database. Let's say I have it in US East 1D DB. Okay. And let's say I don't want my database to be accessed by outer world, and I will make the particular subnet as private subnet. But like when someone access application, either directly or indirectly, they will hit the database, right? So I need to make the application open to public, right? So wherever my application is sitting, let's say I have my application. My application is in the US East 1B, and this application would be in one of the subnet, right? And I will make this subnet as a public subnet. Let's say a user wants to access their Hotstar profile. What would happen? So user will connect to this application. Yeah. Let's say a user is hitting the Hotstar application and accessing his profile. So from internet gateway, what would happen? Through the internet gateway, it will hit the application. Okay. And this application in turn, what it will do? This application will in turn hit the database. Why? To access the user profile.
Data.
This way, what would happen? No one could directly interact with my database directly, but they
Yeah.
could interact with the subnet. Sorry, public subnet or my application subnet.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm saying about this application subnet, right? This application subnet has the route to the internet gateway, as well as it has NASA rules allowing the connectivity to the internet gateway. Okay. So we are going to talk about route table and route table, and we are going to also talk about the nasal rules. Okay. So these nasal rules are controlling the security at the subnet level. And inside the subnet, what we will have? We will have resources like EC2 instances. So for EC2 instances, who will control the traffic? We have something called security groups, because in a subnet we may have multiple EC2 instances, and all the EC2 instances we may not just want to like follow the security rules of the subnet, right? Maybe want to have some specialized rules for one EC2 instance alone. So how we could achieve that? Using the security groups, something called security groups. Yeah. So any doubts, Ruchi, or should I quickly revise everything once again?
Can you repeat this security groups again? What is this for?